Hello and welcome to a special edition of Choose the Challenge. I'm real excited because I have a very special guest and I'm going to introduce him to you, but I first want us to just sit into something very serious, and that's regarding mental wellness, our well-being. Often we're sidelined, we feel silenced. Perhaps we're from a culture where there's stigma around it and we find ourselves suffering alone. Well, Mr. Trauma Talks, also known by his legal name, Rahul K. Maharaj, is going to be joining us. He's a mental health advocate. He is an author, an entrepreneur, a transformational leader who has a passion to help heal the world through conversation, through inspiration, and through tools. We're going to unpackage a little bit about his story, understand what makes him tick, and I am so excited to be joined by Mr. Trauma Talks himself. Raul, how's it going?
Good morning, LaWanna Bradford. How are you? I'm great. I'm excited. It's always a pleasure to be around your aura. It's so amazing. And you're so peaceful, calm, and that smile, oh my God, it's worth millions. I'm great.
Thank you. Well, I titled this Healing the Silence because, coming from, different backgrounds, cultures, especially people of color, we don't air things, right? We suffer in silence. There's a stigma around mental health, mental well-being. And before we get into your story, I just want to ask you, why is that a challenge that we face?
Ah, you know, just a few weeks ago, I think I was on they had a United Nations and they were talking about the peace and talking about I think it was World Health Day or one of those, and we were talking about generational trauma. And I think it's a generation that the colored people come up in, that it's tough love. And this is honestly the only thing I could think about is like, you get a good beating. We know the difference between abuse and a beating. And it's a tough love thing that, like my traumas, and when I speak about mental health and the reason why I advocate so deeply is because when you sit back and you go back to being a 14-year-old and you have to think about what you went through and the reason why you will sit down and attempt to take your own life, is because when you think about it, you have no one. And most of the time you feel alone. And the silence, as you say, the healing, the silence is very, very, very hard. It's not something that you could just snap your fingers and heal. Today, I'm still healing. I'm healing from what happened yesterday. I'm healing from what happened 10 years ago. But one of my greatest things in healing is that you cannot be stuck. You cannot be stuck. You have to let go. And this is one of the greatest things that helps me out, because the amount of things that happened during my childhood till now, if I don't let go, is definitely either you're going to take your own life, or you definitely going to just want to lock up, be under your sheets. Like right now, it's very cold in New York City. You just want to be under your bed, on your bed, under your sheets, and just don't see the world. But that's not how it is. And one of the reasons, as we say, is because sometimes you talk to people and they'll tell you, tough up or man up or something like this. And this has been going on and it's still happening. Look, we on TikTok and you see so many different dramas happening on TikTok within different cultures, because I have so many different type of friends in different demographics. And when it is that you have to listen to the type of things that you would hear a man or a woman say about another person, you're shocked. We're living in
Mhm.
2026 now, you know?
Yeah, and I love what you said, starting off with, the generational trauma. And some people try to dismiss that. Oh, really? You're gonna blame certain situations, but no, there are systemic things that generations have endured that manifest even in our lives today. We may not even understand why we become overly sensitive in something, but we do. And then when you talked about childhood trauma, and that's the part where it becomes very scary, because in communities of color, and I think really most communities overall, we are not taught how to deal with life's challenges and trauma. Like you said, it's, come on, the tough love. You're bigger than that. Pull up your bootstraps. Don't air your dirty laundry. But as a child, you're going through this experience that's foreign, that doesn't feel right, but you're told you can't really talk about it. And then it compounds and compounds. And if you survive childhood, it's still manifesting in how you interface with people, your work relationships, your partner relationships, romantic relationships. It comes up. But you said something, and I do know a bit about your past. So as comfortable as you are, can you take us back to that young boy who felt restricted, frightened, and even thought about, maybe life will be better if Raul isn't here any longer?
Wow, you really brought it really exactly how I felt. And well, I used to live with my mom and my stepfather. And just recently I remember doing a talk where I told about my stepfather beating me with a broom until it broke into four pieces before he stopped. And I was around some friends afterwards, and one of them said, "Man, we get licks as in a beating so badly at times that we never call it abuse, and but it wasn't that, it was being pinpointed." So long story short, I was my stepfather ran me out of the house with a machete, which is a cutlass back in Trinidad and Tobago terms. And I went to live with my grandmother and I was only 14, and now it's a whole new environment. It's an adjustment. You think about a 14-year-old. It's adjustment. Yes, you want to be excited living around cousins and people that you think that it's excited. But then afterwards, it comes down to living with people. It's a different atmosphere, it's a different environment. How you feel, everybody has their own life. It's not just going on vacation anymore, it's not just spending a weekend with these people. You're living. They might be treating you good, they're going to give you food, you have a place to stay. I used to be sleeping on the floor. I wouldn't lie to tell you all, in a little corner just by the door. And there are times when you have nobody to talk to. You'd see family treating their children differently, and you are just in this little bubble alone. Certain things, I was bullied in school, 15 boys just grouped up and beat me to the ground, kick me. And you come home, you have nobody to tell, because at the end of the day, what are they going to do when you tell them in those times? They're going to tell you you're a man, fight back, this, that, and the third. But afterwards as well, my mom, I have asthma, and she would take these, like there's no electricity or something, she would take a newspaper or a copybook, a book, and just fan me so that the asthma will run me to the hospital. And this particular day, I remember feeling so alone and feeling without anyone. I laid in my bed. Well, I went to my bed. My aunt wasn't there that day, and I was in her bed. When she's not there, I stayed in that room. And I went in that room and I just took a whole handful of Ventolin. And I took it because I decided I didn't want to be here no more. But you see, I didn't know. The minute I woke up, I realized with a different mind that all that passes. And this is why I teach people today. When you feel down and out and you feel that you can't go on no more, always remember it's temporary. And remember your situation as is, because guess what? What is meant for you shall never pass you by. And what passes you by was never meant for you. Just as there was once a man who had the blues because he had no shoes. Down the street, he met a man who had no feet. And everything comes together when you want something so badly and it's not happening for you. That young child who feel alone, who feel like he's lost in this world, is a reason for that. It's happening in that way to protect you from something bigger. When I say that there was a man who had no shoes and he had the blues, is because we all put our problems to be bigger than the world today, when the world is actually bigger than our problems. And LaWanna have more problems than Ra, but Ra will sit down here and think, oh my God, the world is on his shoulders. And that's not it. Always remember everything is temporary and we have to keep moving forward for us. You have to do it for you.
I love that. And when you gave that statement, that I had the blues because I had no shoes. My father used to always say that, and as you're little, you're like, okay, what does that really mean? But then as you grow older, it's like, wow, that's huge, right? There is someone that is going through something greater than you, as you are going through something different than someone else, and it's not about comparing. It's your lived experience. So for you, that's your place of centeredness, of familiarity, and you mentioned what's for you will not pass, but what's not for you will pass. And I totally paraphrase that. You said it far more eloquently than I did. And
What's
and
meant
that's
for you?
important too, because sometimes we chase things, Raul, that really aren't meant for us because we're comparing, right? We're trying to fit in a mold that's not for us. And then that in itself, you look at social media and what it's doing to our children today.
It's a comparison, a lot of comparison. We blame social media because I remember my first theater talk. So I do these mental health conferences on Broadway in a theater in Times Square in New York City. And my first time I step on stage was to speak about social media and the mental place it puts you into, right? And comparison with social media is so good. There's so many things that you learn from social media. But when it comes to comparison, a lot of people look and go like, oh my God, LaWanna Bradford has 10,000 followers following her, and I've been doing this for 7.5 years, and I don't even have 1,000. Or look, LaWanna Bradford, she's wearing that beautiful sweater. And if I wear it, I would not look so good. You see, the thing is all about comparison. And comparison in today's times send a lot of children into depressed places. And when it's children, you could be under 25. It's called a child. Because right now I know a lot of people in their 20s. It's the phases of life where they don't understand the type of changes. Hence, I wrote a book, Melly and the Pandemic, during the pandemic, and it's all about change. Change and conversation starters are one of the things that is needed. You can't look at yourself on social media and look at someone else and think that they are better than you or not. Because at the end of the day, you have to know that you shine from within and you have to know who you are and what you bring to this society and this earth.
I love that.
Are you ready to defy gravity and challenge the impossible? Meet LaWanna Bradford, the visionary leader behind Choose to Challenge on E360 TV. Now in its fifth season, this groundbreaking show shines a spotlight on voices of change from across the globe. Born during the pandemic, Choose to Challenge becomes a platform for transformation where no topic is off limits. Every episode highlights individuals breaking barriers, rewriting narratives, and making an impact. Ready to share your story and inspire change? Call 404-618-2824 to become a guest. This is your moment to rise. Tune in now at e360tv.com. Your voice matters. Let's change the world together.
Once upon a time, I was out of breathing room. I didn't know what it was called, but I love having a label for it. So if we can define it, we can address it. And so breathing room is that space between your current pace and your limits and your abilities. So in breathing room, is really important that we have that space between what we are capable of doing and what our limits are. And it's a very important concept and is catching on fire with our mommies and our women in our little corner of the world. And I'm so pleased that we will learn more, we will be happier people, and not so stressed out, and we will operate in the love zone and not the fear zone.
We are here with Rahul K. Maharaj, and we are talking about healing the silence. And I want to read something to you and the audience. And Paul Laurence Dunbar was an African American poet. And one of the things that we deal with when we're talking about mental health, mental awareness, is being true to ourselves, being able to look in the mirror, but giving ourselves permission to have the conversation. It's okay to not be okay. And this is what he said, even though this was written at a time, which unfortunately we're still experiencing this time, where there was a lot of oppression in the African American community. But the more I leaned into this little phrase of this poem, Rahul, I realized it's really talking about mental well-being. Way back then in 1896. And he says, "We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding hearts we smile. And mouth with myriad subtleties, we smile, but oh, great Christ, our cries. To thee from tortured souls arise, we sing, but oh, the clay is vile. Beneath our feet and long the mile, but let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask." And I thought about that when you were talking about what you do in the theater and how you're using these different mediums to communicate this message. And that's a very powerful positioning, that we don't want people to know that we're suffering. We want to wear the mask. We want to put on that smile. Everything's good. And then, as you said, we go home. We want to put the covers over our head, and we don't want to deal with the world. And you and so many others are advocating that it's important for us to find community. It's important for us to find the voice. It's important for us to realize that this too will pass. It may be brutal and ugly, but it will pass. And to find that strength that you said everyone has this bright light. And I want to ask you this question, Rahul. I believe everything that you're saying. And when you're in those dark moments, how do you, Rahul, Mr. Trauma Talk, help people to see their bright light?
Wow, beautiful. And let's just touch back on the mask, because I've been speaking to a lot of people who are always talking about this mask, and you need to rip off the mask. It's best to keep that mask on with a smile, because sometimes the trauma under that mask you cannot handle someone else's trauma. And when you talk about the healing part of being in a depressed place, when I speak about this and I speak about the darkness, is because I have been there throughout life. I accept it. Would you believe a simple thing like, let's just say LaWanna Bradford is my co-host on one of my podcasts, and we are going good for 1 year and a half and everything, and something triggers and LaWanna Bradford just goes away from my life. Would you believe we are all humans? And just like heartbreak, you will be broken that that person is pulled away from your life. And you will go into a dark place. But it's how you handle it. I always say, just like grief, it is okay to grieve for someone. It is okay to be broken for someone because you need to. You need to accept the fact that that person is no longer there. So I'm just using this as a reference to you. So when you go into this dark place, this depressed place, it is okay. But you have to remember all the time how long you stay in those dark places. Because at the end of the day, time keeps ticking. Time waits on no one. And when you sit there depressed and down and out, everyone else's life moves on in front of you while you are stuck. So the same thing with me. I remember being broken during the pandemic in so many different ways while the world is just depressed because they're locked down. I was depressed in many different ways because of heartbreak and different things. But at the end of the day, I have to remember if I stay 2 weeks in my bed, that's 2 weeks I will never get back. And you have to remember that you have to step up. I know it's hard. Always remember the person who is telling you is not telling you because, oh, they don't know. Oh, I know. I know how it feels. But I want you to understand only you are placed here for you. You're the one to pull yourself through it. You and your God, you have to believe enough to know how you can do it for you.
Oh, that's beautiful, and it's a perfect springboard into your upcoming conference, mental health conference entitled Believe. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? How did you, before telling us about the conference, how did you feel that this is the time with your skills, with your talents, with your advocacy to bring this collective together to have these meaningful conversations to transform lives, and then tell people how can they become a part of this conference?
Well, the speakers are selected just like if you come out on, and everything is free because I believe that mental health do not have a price tag on it. Your health should never have a price tag on it. And it's free on February 28th. We have amazing motivational speakers like LaWanna Bradford, and we have Dr. Trish Reddy. And this is the reason why I put that name Believe on a mental health conference, is because of who they are. They believed in what they can do. They believed in themselves, that they can pull themselves out of the mud. They give themselves a pat on the back every single day, and they let themselves know that they can do it for themselves, just as they're doing it for everyone around them. When I put together this collective and this group of people to come together and tell their stories, is because I want you to know when you hear Dr. LaWanna Bradford's story and you hear it and it rests on your chest, there's some part of her story you're going to be like, whoa, that feels like me. I understand how it feels now. Now, if LaWanna Bradford can do it, I can do it too. Because this is what I want people to understand. You are not alone. You see, Ra believes we are all connected. Grab a big bucket of water and dip it from the ocean and bring it to the seashore. And on the seashore, you put holes in the small bottles or little buckets and you pour that water into it. The only thing that separates the water is the vessel. And that's each of us as humans, our bodies are that vessel. And that water inside is that soul. The only thing that has each human being going is that we think differently from each other. But at the end of the day, we are all connected and we need to be there for each other, especially in these type of times. You see what's going on in the United States right now, the distractions, the Epstein files, the war, the every single thing, the economy, and people just keeps going on. People have to go on further every single day.
Yes. And I have put the QR code up. You'll see it above me where it, to be a part of this conference, just click on the QR code, register. As Rahul said, this is no charge to you for your time, but the time invested is going to be priceless.
And these amazing speakers, they have this. The thing about it is, people pay at conferences to go to get things free, and each one gives out stuff. We start our conference with song therapy. People charge $150, just like going to see a psychiatrist or psychologist. And the song therapy actually awakens you, makes you feel better. It heals you. You know, you're going to hear, excuse me, you would hear something from Dr. LaWanna Bradford that she would say to you, or she would offer to you for 20 minutes, and you will feel better. You might be feeling down and out and feel like the world is against you and nobody cares. But these 10 people will come together right in here and show you so much love that you would not believe that you would feel all this.
Yes. And I want to say this, and I want to give you the closing a closing statement to share with our audience. We often, when we are in our own little vacuum, we think that we're the only ones that are suffering, or because we come from a certain background. But what COVID showed us, in when people had to be forced isolation, that we are literally just on the edge, or just by the grace of God, from being in a very traumatic state. Right? I mean, I didn't realize that I could be in jeopardy of that, but that time of being single, living alone, isolation, I thought, okay, I'm going through some not healthy thoughts, not about unlifing myself, but just starting to not feel good about the situation that we're in. And I think the pandemic has now resulted in what we call the second pandemic. These conversations are needed. Mental health, mental awareness is huge around the world. And we don't have enough providers and advocacies there to help the need. And so I want to give you the last words in what you want to say to the audience. How can you give hope? And how can you serve them if they want to work with you?
You know, stumbling across the name Mr. Trauma Talks was not just that easy. I've been doing this for over 7.5 years. I used to take people's stories, and when I heard the stories of people from where they were in life to where they are today, it was very, very touching. I want to let you know something, and I tell people this all the time. After the pandemic, people are still in depression. Today, people are worse in depression than ever because of all that's happening. And I want you to know, it doesn't matter what color you are, what religion you are, what race you are, which country you're from. Don't matter who you are, mental health is everyone. It affects every single person as long you're living. And what we do is we help you to understand you are not alone. There's many of times I've questioned myself. Oh my God, this thing is happening. And then you go around someone and you be around people. Like, I just came from the Grammys, and there was a post Grammys brunch. And while I was there and I listened to some of these nominees and I heard their stories of who had been homeless, it touched me so deeply to understand that people really don't know other people's stories. While a person sits down and is in a depressed place crying about something that they could fix, there are people still moving forward and dragging everything along But you see, I want to leave you all with this. Remember your traumas, your past mental states, even what happened during the pandemic. Think about it all as a busted up, rusted old ocean liner's anchor that you're dragging along the seashore with an old, long, rusted old chain. And you're pulling that. And while you're dragging it on the seashore, it's gathering garbage. And that's your mind. Your mind, I'm not saying gathers garbage, but that excess mental stress that you don't need, that you've been carrying along, you need to just let go. Many of times we hear people say, let go. But letting go is really by letting go and taking a deep breath. And let it go. And trust me, it is going to work for all of you. As I remember what I said, what is meant for you shall never pass you by. And what passes you by was never meant for you. This is Ra.
Have you ever been like me when everything felt right? Like you had the Midas touch and life just fit until it didn't. When wave after wave of change hit, I had to find my footing. In resilience and faith, I learned to stand. I'll share that journey at the Believe Mental Health Conference on February 28th. And I hope you take away the truth that you are not alone. Thank you so very much, Rahul. Mr. Trauma Talks in the house. I so appreciate your time. And to our listening audience, the QR code is there. You have time. Register, be a part of this amazing conversation and transformation that is taking place this month. Believe Mental Health Conference. Thank you again, Rahul. To our listening audience, just remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. We'll see you next week for another edition of Choose to Challenge. Bye for now.